Welcome back into Dallas in the American Athletic Conference Swimming and Diving Championships. John Littleback with Natalie Calabat. Great to have you with us as well. Great start to the event with FIU picking up the win in the 200 medley. And now we go to team diving. Natalie, tell us about this event, what makes it unique, and what we're going to be looking for over the course of the next few minutes.
Absolutely. I love this event. It's diving's version of a relay. So it's that team camaraderie. Each team is comprised of 3 divers, and they each do 2 dives from any preferred heights, but they have to cover all the bases. 2 dives on 1 meter, 2 dives from 3 meter, and 2 dives from platform. And we're going to make our way all the way up to the 10 meter, where ECU's Frida Zuniga Guzman is going to compete a forward 3.5 pike as our first diver.
She was second in platform last year here at the AAC Championships, and also was the AAC Diver of the Year at this event a season ago. She's had a great year. 5-time AAC Swimmer of the Week.
Such a great start from Frida, and you heard that loud pop noise when she hit the water. That's what we call a rip, and the higher you go up in diving, the louder that sound gets. So really great start for East Carolina. She had a great start, squeezes the pike, and that beautiful lineup, especially on platform. Those entries are so crucial.
Sydney Gadara is up next from the University of North Texas on 1 meter. She had a great freshman season a year ago.
Another beautiful start for North Texas. So you can see we started on 10 meter, now we're back down to 1 meter, so the teams do get to dictate how they want to start. So North Texas, for instance, wants to start on the lower springboard here. Really great top, squeezes the pike, beautiful pike out, clean entry, can't ask for much more than that.
All right, now this is a Rice swimmer who is going to dive. Now, Catherine Elin.
Now this is what this event, swimming and diving, is all about, right? A swimmer getting up on the boards and competing in this event. I heard she does have a ballet background, so diving has translated a little bit easier, but stepping up to the plate when Rice only has 2 divers that can compete.
So they can have the possibility of picking up their full allotment of points in this event. Catherine Elin opening it up for Rice. And now on to Tulane. This is Rachel Casebold. She's a senior.
Also on the 1 meter, a very clean entry. With the springboard dives, you're looking at the height off of the springboard. It's aluminum surface. It allows you to bend and get the most off of the springboard, and she got a lot of height off that dive.
6.5s and 7s there for her. 49-2 margin. Ave Osro is a graduate transfer and has had a great season for FIU, coming over from Minnesota.
Yeah, she has a lot of experience being at NCAAs, trained with Olympian Sarah Bacon. She cares a lot about this FIU team, and she pushes herself on the 1 meter springboard. You'll see this is inward 1.5 in the pike position. She's also trying to reverse 2.5 on 1 meter. So Coach Josh Larkham tells me she really pushes the team.
Her 1 meter score this year in competition currently ranks 13th in the nation. It's the top mark in the AAC, so she's going to be a competitor in the 1 meter. We go to FAU. This is Trinity McNall, excuse me.
And you'll see she went off the 7.5 meter platform, a different height from Frida, who opened the event. And she did an arm stand dive. In these handstand dives, the judges want to see that control at the top of the arm stand, which she showed. That's one of the biggest keys that the judges are taking away from the handstand dives.
After the first of a total of 6 dives, ECU in front, followed by UNT, and then Tulane, FIU, FAU, and Rice in that order. And we go back to ECU. This is Kinsley Baker, a freshman.
Does an inward 2.5 on 3 meter, does a good job of standing the dive up. And what I also love about this event too, John, is that these divers can kind of separate, okay, I'm doing 2 dives tonight. these are the two dives on this level, and they can just solely focus on that. And I was talking to some of the coaches, and they were saying exactly that as well, that these divers are trying to take this competition in bit by bit, and this is a good taste of it.
North Texas, Amelia Sharp up next. She's a freshman who has really been good this year for North Texas.
Also doing a dive off the 7.5 meter. Goes slowly past vertical, which means that she completed the dive. Gets a great top off platform, even though it's a solid surface. They want to see a strong jump, and she did exactly that.
43.2 on that dive. Moving on to Rice, and again, they have two actual divers. Megan Phillip is one of them. She's a graduate transfer from Minnesota.
Jump. She kept her chest over her toes on the takeoff, which is so challenging to do in the inward category. Stands the dive straight up. Look at that. Gets 2 flips done above the 3 meter. And then lets it rip on the end.
2.7 DD and 47.25 total score. Anna Bierman comes up for Tulane. She'll be off the 3 meter.
A lower degree of difficulty dive, but a hard dive to control, and she showed control from the start to the finish, engaging the core right off the top. You'll see it right here. Gets her arms all the way through. Gets a lot of air off the end of the springboard. A very clean entry.
Now on to FIU, and we're going way up here, all the way up to the top of the platform for Christina Keenan.
I wanted a moment of silence there to just enjoy that rip. I mean, what an entry there. Just beautiful. Shows tons of control at the top. Gets into a tight pike, squares it out. And, I mean, what a beautiful entry there.
As a freshman, qualified for NCAA zones on platform, and now in her sophomore season. And on to Florida Atlantic, this is Lola Drago-Sabats.
Divers are all doing a really nice job in the first event, the team event, setting the tone early, solid dive, getting 6.5s almost across the board. Gets all the way to the end, keeps that chest up, and finds the entry, looks at her hands, and comes in clean.
And before we go into the third round, UNT now in front, followed by Tulane, ECU, and then it's FIU, FAU, and Rice. Olivia Templeton off the 1 meter for ECU.
And diving, you mentioned that jump that UNT made in the leaderboard standings. I mean, it goes to show you how pivotal every single dive is and how it matters so much. So I love this team diving event. It allows for these divers to work together like the relays and swimming and put their best foot forward.
Cameron Wong has had quite a season, 3-time AAC Diving Athlete of the Week.
Another great entry off 3 meter, and it's so hard. The back and the reverse 2.5 category. I mean, 7.5s almost across the board, 63 points.
Wow.
You see from start to finish. Gorgeous top, tight tuck, pikes it out. It just disappears in the water. Pike saves, so she stops the dive.
It's the best dive we've seen, numbers-wise, so far, coming from Cameron Wong for North Texas. Now Riley Coyne, she's out of Rice.
First twister we've seen so far in this competition. Does a nice job of stopping the dive by squaring it out. You'll see here, keeps her chest over her toes, squares it out to stop the dive with some nice long lines.
And for Tulane, that brings up Paige McKenzie. She's a graduate.
Back up to the 7.5 meter. Did a nice job of standing that dive up. I talked a little bit about it earlier, getting that jump off the platform, especially when you're standing backwards and flipping into the tower. She got vertical with the water.
On to FIU and back up to the very top platform, 10 meter. The Ontario native, Brooke Mechtel, a freshman for FIU.
I saw her warming this dive up. She does this dive consistently. Just a hair short of vertical. We'll take a look at that top. Gets her arms all the way through. Just lets the legs drop a hair bit short. I gotta give a lot of credit to our camera crew getting a lot of really good tight shots and different angles of all these different dives.
No doubt. Beautiful job. Now here's Grace Powell from Florida Atlantic.
Higher degree of difficulty back twister, 2.5 twists. Does a nice job of stopping it. Takes her time on the board. Squares out of the dive. Loses her legs just a little bit. That's common in twisters just from the speed of the twist. But is able to stop it.
43-4 and halfway home, North Texas has taken a large lead on Tulane for second. FIU has surged to third, followed by East Carolina, FAU, and then Rice. Right now in sixth. Back to Kinsley Baker, the freshman from ECU.
You have a lot to thank of Camry's back 2.5 with that North Texas standing there, getting 7.5s on a high degree of difficulty dive. Just didn't quite get the arms all the way past her shoulders and just left the dive a little bit short. Back and reverse category on 3 meter is one of the most challenging to hit.
This is the leading team, North Texas, and Sydney Godara coming back up. This is one of the tougher degree of difficulties, 3.0 DD.
We call this a full out. It's flipping in the pike position. It's also coming out and doing a twist dive. Excellent scores. Shows so much control, gymnastic-like movements in the air. Beautiful toe point. Toe point is so crucial in diving. It's the last thing you see that goes into the water if you're the judges.
Catherine Elan, the swimmer for Rice, subbing in to make sure they get the full points. She's off the 1 meter here.
I gotta give her. The other side of the pool, getting it done in the lanes. She gets on the springboards and is just contributing to her team. Take another look at that backflip. Not bad.
I love the all smiles, though. That's my favorite part of the dives, let me tell you.
Can't take it too seriously, right, John?
That's exactly right. But it's going to help Rice so much when it comes to the end of this competition. Might be the difference between first or second at the end of this competition as a team. Moving on to Florida International, and again, it's Ave Oswald. Or rather, excuse me, this is Tulane, and this is Rachel Caseville. My apologies.
Back twister on 1 meter. A foot first entry. One of the few we've seen. Gets a good top. Stops the twist. Feet first entries are judged a little bit differently than hand first entries just because they tend to be a little bit more splashy, so it's judged quite a bit differently.
I'm still waiting on the scores for that one. It's the longest we've had to wait for a score on an individual dive. Tulane's Rachel Caseville. That gives Ave Osro a few more moments to think, and it ends up being 6s and a 5.5 for a 48.6 for Rachel Caseville. Chance here for the graduate transfer, Ave Osro. This is 2.6 DD off the 1 meter.
Really nice dive, high degree of difficulty dive, hard dive to do. You're doing 2 twists. She does a nice job of standing the dive up at the end of the board, gets the arms all the way through, tight twist, and nice entry.
Again, she will be a competitor in both the 1 and the 3 meter. As we go to FAU and Trinity McNall, and the senior has to restart.
Now that's what we call a balk. That's when the diver starts their hurdle, their approach, their back press, their whatever it is they're doing, and they stop at the end. So after she does this dive, the judges will have to deduct points. Luckily, she did a beautiful dive. She got to try it again. Showed a lot of control. So originally, she would get 6, 6.5, and a 7, but the judges do have to deduct 2 points from each score. But you look at that takeoff, tight tuck, finds the entry, that back and reverse category are nail biters here. So she did a nice job second time around.
It's gotta be so tough to shake off, though, as well.
Yeah. Mentally, it definitely is, because you kind of get your rhythm thrown off. So definitely a challenge to the mental game.
North Texas, FIU and Tulane in this team diving. 1, 2, 3 as we go to the 4th rotation. And for Olivia Templeton, the sophomore, coming off the 1 meter.
Doing a back twister. Good angle right here, shows that she stays on the start, looks at the lineup on the entry, pushes it a little bit far back, but had a beautiful entry on the bottom.
North Texas trying to stay in front. Amelia Sharp, the freshman, off the 10-meter platform, way up.
Love that angle that we showed at the top of the tower. You saw her press her arms, almost looking like she was going to do a push-up. That was her catching her balance, so she didn't fall over and potentially balk. You see that? That balance that she had at the top, and then finds a way to nail it in the air and find the entry. So excellent dive.
Keep North Texas safely in front. On to Rice, Megan Phillip off the 5-meter.
Lower degree of difficulty dive on the lowest platform that you can compete off of. That's the 5-meter, first one we're seeing so far tonight. Doing a reverse 1.5. Nice strong jump, pikes out of the dive, lines it up.
Take it to Anna Behrman, the senior for Tulane.
I'm impressed with the back and reverse categories. This team diving event allows for these divers to really settle in, especially with some of their harder dives. Kind of get the jitters out, get the nerves out right away. Gets into a tight tuck, finds the water, no problem.
Now for FIU, they were able to vault up to 2nd place going into this rotation. And Christina Keenan, the sophomore, will go off the 3-meter.
Big dive, high degree of difficulty dive, and she slightly washes past vertical. Just shows you how strong she is, and the judges love the dive. She gets so much height at the top, arms all the way through, tight tuck. I mean, look at that. She almost got 3 flips done above the 3-meter. Unreal.
And FIU not able to overtake Tulane there, so they're in 3rd at this point. Now here's FAU. How high can they get with Lola Dragosavas?
Beautiful inward 1.5 pike. From that angle, you saw she went a little bit to the right of the diving board. Judges don't see that from their angle. They see directly from the peripheral. Really nice job pike saving the dive on the bottom.
Mostly 6.5s there. And so going into the final rotation, North Texas way out in front. If they complete their dive, they should win this. Tulane, FIU, FAU, ECU, and Rice in that order. And so ECU and Frida Zuniga Guzman, one of the best divers in the nation, going off the tower once more for ECU.
Arm stand dive. Again, judges looking for that 3-second hold, that control at the top of the arm stand. Frida does a beautiful job of that. She is so good off platform. Holds at the top. You'll see right here, beautiful pike, stops the dive, rips the entry. That noise, it's music to my ears, so beautiful.
7.5, or 7s and 6.5, I should say, for Frida. And moving on to North Texas, trying to wrap up a championship here in team diving in Cameron Wall.
Love her technique. In the air on this dive, folds into the pike, gets a really good takeoff.
2 7.5s, a 7, 6.5, 6.
Folds into the pike, stops the dive, no splash whatsoever. Gorgeous finish.
That should wrap up a championship easily for North Texas here in team diving. As we go back over to Rice and Riley Coy.
Another arm stand dive. An arm stand 1 somersault, so you have to stop, show that control. Does a nice job on the entry as well.
For Tulane, they were in second place situation, and now Paige McKenzie, the graduate, going off the 7.5 platform.
Another beautiful rip. The higher up you go, the easier it is to do, but it is hard. You do have to squeeze your arms and your hands on the entry.
And that takes Tulane to second place.
Beautiful hold, beautiful lines in the air, stops the dive with a nice rip.
But it does leave the door cracked for FIU here. This is a dive to get on the medal stand for Grace Powell and company. Excuse me, for Brooke Mickle and company. My apologies.
Really nice dive. Pressure's on. She did a good job of kind of keeping the blinders on, staying focused.
And her 42 is good enough to make it a silver medal for FIU.
FIU was 3rd in this event last year, so if you're Coach Josh Larkham, you have to take a positive out of that, moving up to 2nd.
Is a 2.3 DD high enough to get on the medal stand? We will find out for Grace Powell.
Fades a little bit off the takeoff. Stops the dive. Shows that control to the judges.
No, it will not be. A total of 36-8. FAU will finish in 5th place. And so the final scores, North Texas, the winner of the team diving championship and the points. FIU finishes in 2nd place. Some really key points for that team, followed by Tulane, ECU, FAU, and Rice.
Yeah, really nice showcase from all the divers who stepped up and contributed a ton of points for the total swim and dive points race here at this championship.
And we will get a chance to hear from the champions, the University of North Texas, on the other side. Team diving championships in the books. We'll get the official results and talk to the champions on the other side.